Okay, so I think I'm live now. Okay, then hello to this year's keynote 2025 on, and yeah, I have the last session today, and this one in English about what's new in PlantTools. Some of you, I recognize some of your names and companies. However, since some of you do not know or do not use PlantTools yet, I will mention some general or give you some general information about the PlantTools when I'm in the various on the various slides. So yeah, we have an outlook. I will explain and show what is new, which updates did we do, and give you an outlook about PlantTools. So in general, PlantTools are applications for AutoCAD Plant 3D. And there are 6 PlantTools, and I will mention them during this presentation. This is my name, Carsten Beinecke, in case I did not mention that. And I'm the product manager of PlantTools, and I have quite some experience in the plant industry. Started in February '89, and customers get younger and I'm getting older. I started with AutoCAD 9, and for Plant 3D or AutoCAD P90, I started with AutoCAD P90 2008, 2009. And yeah, of course, now we are at 2026. I have some experience with databases, but on some like SQLite, SQL Server, Access. Okay, then the next slide. So if you have any questions, then please use the chat of Teams, and I will monitor the chat in case you have some questions, and then I try to answer them at the end, depending on the time. I have to hurry up a bit. I did this session also in German a few hours ago, and I was a little bit too long, so I try to be a little bit faster now. Okay, then the agenda is what changed since April 24, so about the last year. What new features do we have? What changed? What is coming next, meaning throughout this year? And then what development may come from customers of us. I will explain the process for that when I get to that chapter. And then a little information or lookout in regards to PlantTools as web applications. Okay, what has changed? So Plant Center, well, this is discontinued, so I don't need to say anything about that. We had very few customers who used Plant Center, so that's not really important. Plant Clash Detection is our tool, or was our tool, standalone tool, to find clashes in your 3D drawing within Plant 3D. So you didn't need to use Navisworks, for example. You could do it within Plant 3D itself. The Plant Clash Detection was, or is essentially, or was migrated into our Plant Express tools. So it's not a standalone product anymore, but the functionality still exists as it was before. Then we adapted, of course, to Plant 3D 2025, and this was actually a long process because there was some underlying Windows technology change. Autodesk implemented with all 2025 products, which took us longer to adapt PlantTools than usual. But yeah, that was finished then in June or so. And what we also use with our PlantTools is DevExpress, and this is a third-party provider who gives or who develops these the controls we use in our user interfaces, or the user interfaces itself. So we have a more modern user interface, and also there are more possibilities. For example, when we have a data grid, we can easily filter or group the data. It's all implemented, so very easy to use. Or if you want to create calculations, there's an expression editor you can use with a lot of functionality and so on. And so, yeah, we constantly update this from typically with the AutoCAD Plant 3D versions also. Yeah, and we, because of DevExpress, well, not because of DevExpress updates, but in general, we continued updating all of our user interfaces to DevExpress. There are still some existing user interfaces which are, let's say, using standard Windows controls, but that's really just about the look of PlantTools, not about the functionality. And finally, as a general improvement is, well, bug fixing, of course. We typically try to fix especially critical or important, let's say important bugs. We try to fix right away with the next release, and we try to keep a short release interval. Okay, so some examples of user interfaces. We can, so yeah, these are some examples like our calculation user interface, where you can define calculations like in Excel. That's my typical example in Excel, where you have a cell and you define a formula for that. And you can do the same with AutoCAD Plant 3D properties to have some calculation, not necessarily mathematical, although that is of course also possible, but often it's some if statement, some, again, similar to Excel. So and the user interface, this is an example we updated, and actually this user interface exists in some variation for other functions in 5 different functions. Then in Plant Reporter, so Plant Reporter is our tool which runs outside of Plant 3D, which allows you to create lists and data sheets and reports in general without or outside of Plant 3D. So you don't need to start Plant 3D. And here we updated the whole user interface, but also we made, if you use the versions and revisions feature of Plant Reporter, then you now have the versions and revisions ordered chronologically. Which makes it, of course, easier to find the right version or revision. Also here the category settings, which also has a version revision feature in it. So just some updates. And here in the ribbon. In the ribbon, you can find the clash detection now in Plant Express tools. Plant Data Manager. So for the ones who don't know, PlantTools, Plant Data Manager is our tool, again, which runs outside of Plant 3D, which allows you to edit the data you create through drawings. Mostly used for, or typically used for the P90 data, but not limited to it. And here we made a lot of performance improvements when loading the project or opening the project, but also for if you scroll and you have a lot of properties in your data grid, and we show some icons in some cells to indicate some, let's say, some feature or some status, and scrolling sometimes was slow, or pasting values in multiple cells took long. So in general, there's improvements in regards to the performance. Then in Plant Data Manager, we have a feature which we call not placed objects, or here NPOs. And NPOs allow you to create an object in Plant Data Manager which is not in the drawing. And there are 2 typical use cases. One is create a not placed object, for example, a pump. And you create a pump, and you can define all the values, all the properties, you can give it a tag. And you then can later decide, do you want to insert that pump later into a drawing, or do you want to keep it only in the database for reporting, for example? So, but these NPOs we needed to rework the way they are handled because of collaboration projects. There, the way we used to store these information was not working anymore with collaboration projects, so we had to adjust the whole workflow. In the same in the same process, we also improved or enhanced the way the NPOs work in Plant Data Manager. And also we made performance improvements when you import changes from a CSV file or from an Excel file into Data Manager, which is now much faster, especially with a lot of data. If you have thousands of lines in your Excel sheet and you want to import them, then it's really takes a few seconds and that's it. Also, part of Plant Data Manager is our new copy and paste feature, which is integrated in our own properties palette. I will get back to the properties palette later on. So you can, similar to Word or to Excel, you select, for example, a pump, whatever, and then you can define which properties do you want to copy into other objects. And you can do this in the data grid in Plant Data Manager, or later, as you will see, you can do it also in the drawings. So this is also implemented in Plant Data Manager. Okay, Plant Express tools. Plant Express tools are our plant tool which runs within Plant 3D, and it is made into, let's say, two groups. One is for the CAD user. There are a lot of new features or improved features. We have our own symbols palette. We have a bolt calculation for 3D. We have our own project manager, our own properties palette, and so on. So this is all for the user to have, let's say, better features or new features compared to Plant 3D's functionality. So that is one part, and the other part is functions to help an administrator who is responsible for the project setup to have features or functions which help him speed up the process of setting up a project. Sounded strange right now. Okay, so what else or what did we do in Plant Express tools? Well, a lot of Plant Express tools now has over almost 30 functions. I think 28 was the last count I had, or 29 functions. So, and we needed to adapt each of the functions for running with collaboration projects, or ACC. And that is a process we actually started almost 4 years ago, and it's still, so we are now almost done. It's really an endless job. However, we are now getting close on finishing it. We adapted a lot of our Plant Express tools functions for collaboration projects. There are some, let's say, less important functions which still need to be adapted. I mentioned them here, but I don't need to go through them. New renumbering feature. So the next 3 lines are actually new features which GIA ordered. I will get to that process later on. So we have GIA needed several functions which we did not have and Plant 3D did not provide. One is a renumbering feature. I will have short videos for all 3 of them, which allows you to renumber your objects in the drawing in different ways. Then the in-place editing for assemblies. So assemblies allow you to kind of group P&ID areas or could be used for skids, for package units, or just because you have a hierarchical tagging system and you want to kind of create logical groups. You want to group things, and the assembly itself then can also have a tag or data in general. And the challenge was, and you will see in the video what the challenge was, and I will explain it. But it's about editing the boundary of that assembly to make it more user-friendly. And again, the copy and paste feature I mentioned before in Plant Data Manager is also here in Plant Express tools, integrated into the properties palette. Okay, now I have a short video. So first, the renumbering function, which is a new feature here in the ribbon of Plant Express tools. You define a start value, an incremental value, and then there are different, let's say, strategies on how to renumber, and you can either overwrite or fill the gaps. So if you don't want to change it, the existing ones, you can fill the gaps. You can select the symbol. Here in this case, they are ordered 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 because of a different type. You can either select the symbol or the annotation of a symbol. And this is how then it looks. We specifically did not want to use select multiple objects at once because typically the user wants to control the order of the renumbering. Here we have the copy and paste function. So you select the first object, your source object if you want. And then we have a new button in the properties palette where you can activate the copy and paste function. And then you select the properties you want to copy into other objects. And then you can also switch the tabs. So if you want to select some properties are on a different page, let's say, or a different tab. But no matter where, yeah, you can go back and forth, whatever you want. Then you click and you're now in paste mode. And now first you select the objects or symbols which should get the data. It's not copied yet, it's just you select. And now you click on the button again, and now it's pasting into the symbols, and you can see now they all have the same. You can also switch to a drawing while you are in that mode and click again, and then it copies it here. Then you deactivate the feature, and now you see here, for example, in the heat exchanger, you see the 4 values. And the in-place editing is now, yeah, I can explain it better. So what happens if you, for example, change the PIN-ID, and now you have this assembly boundary line, and before you had to go to the block editor of Plant, which Plant 3D provides, but you lose any context of your PIN-ID. So here now you can actually edit in your PIN-ID, and if you are done, you have the new assembly. But you are actively in your drawing, and you can see how you need to shape, let's say, your boundary or your polyline of the assembly. Yeah, it's much more user-friendly. Okay, next is PlantLink. So PlantLink is our tool, or originally the idea of PlantLink was a user or customer has some external data, a database, SQL Server, SQLite, Access, Excel if needed. But so you have some data in an external source, and you want to bring in the data or map the data from that source or some of the data from that external source to your PIN-ID or 3D symbols or objects in general. So this is how it started, but it can do more. And one of the features is PlantLink can also control the AutoCAD properties like layer, color, line type. But the specialty was, or the challenge was, with multi-lines in Plant 3D or general in AutoCAD, the way multi-lines work in AutoCAD or in Plant 3D is really different from the way you work with lines or line segments in Plant 3D in regards to layer, color, and so on, line type. So we had to adapt or extend PlantLink to be able to handle these multi-line styles as well. That has been accomplished. And in that process, we needed PlantLink to be able also to create a layer if the layer does not exist yet, and also to set the layer properties like the color of the layer and so on. But typically it's layer that is sufficient, and the layer name, of course, itself as well. Okay, so that is in PlantLink. Plant Reporter, as I mentioned before, we adapted a little bit the user interface for versions and revisions to have the versions and revisions in chronological order to make it easier to find the required version and revision for comparison. And also And yeah, this also required or was due to the handling of collaboration project. We needed to adapt our process for that as well. Yeah, so that is the adaptation for collaboration projects. Okay, so Plant Reporter is our tool for creating, I think I mentioned that, lists or reports or data sheets outside of Plant 3D. It's similar to the report creator. Actually, Autodesk licensed our Plant Reporter in 2010, which is the report creator. And did I say that right? Autodesk licensed our Plant Reporter, which is now the report creator. But we continue to develop Plant Reporter, for example, to be able to create versions and revisions of reports. Yeah, and some other stuff. Okay, need to get my mouse into the report. Okay, Plant Spec Driven. Plant Spec Driven is our tool to, let's say, enhance the P&ID, but also to link the P&ID to 3D. In P&ID, when you have a line with a certain pipe spec and a certain size, and you insert for let's say a check valve, then Plant Spec Driven will look into the Plant 3D pipe spec if a check valve is available, and will assign the data from the pipe spec, from the Plant 3D pipe spec, to your P&ID symbol. And you define which properties do you want. And so this allows you then to create, for example, a bill of material from your P&ID drawing with all the information like long description, material, maybe manufacturer, whatever you have in your pipe spec. Yeah, and we made adaptations again for collaboration, which are now completed. There is a feature in Plant Spec Driven which allows the propagation of, let's say, the size of a line segment allows it to flow or to be propagated into the connected line segments. And sometimes customers know how they want Plant Spec Driven to handle this. So the dialog which pops up and asks you, do you want, can be suppressed to kind of go do its thing automatically. Yeah, there's some improvement when you insert. So Plant Spec Driven has a tree, a structure tree, similar to the P&ID line list in Plant 3D, but we show the status of the connection between the P&ID symbol and 3D. So in Plant Spec Driven, if the P&ID is completed, you click on a line and say, I want to route that line, and you do routing, and the structure tree shows you that this line is now routed in 3D. And you click on the P&ID valve in the tree, and you insert it in 3D, and then it's linked, and it shows you, oh, it's linked through different colors. And it also shows you if there is an inconsistency between P&ID and 3D. So if you now insert the valve from the P&ID valve into the wrong 3D line, you get notification and some improved notification we had already before, but now it's improved. Yeah, some let's say improvements in regards to collapsing, expanding the tree. It's not really that important right now, but more important is rework or improvement, create improvement of inserting reducers or valves directly on an equipment nozzle. The challenge here was that in P&ID, if you have a reducer, for example, the reducer has a line segment left and right, and to get the different sizes of the two lines. But in 3D, as you can see here, you put the reducer directly on the nozzle. Well, there is a flange, of course, and a gasket and bolt sets, but there is no pipe or whatever. So we improved that. So if you insert a reducer or a valve directly on an equipment nozzle, all these linking I was talking about is done automatically. And so you don't, before that, you needed to do several manual steps to link the P&ID to 3D. And finally, Plant Sync. PlantSync is our tool which allows you to synchronize or to copy or transfer the project configuration of one project, probably or most likely a template project, and transfer that to other projects, multiple other projects. So it's similar maybe to the project compare in Plant 3D, but we can essentially copy the information to multiple objects. And now PlantSync was adapted or has been adapted with the last release also to support collaboration projects. So yeah, that's this. What's coming next? I thought I will be faster, but I seem to be slower. We started implementing automated testing that allows us to, so all the what you typically do in your user interface, and you click and you draw a line and so on, all that we are now started to automate for testing, which allows us to, well, have a better quality control, but also to make releases faster because, yeah, we can just let the tests run and we get notifications if the test was not successful. And we can also test because we support 6 AutoCAD Plant 3D versions, 21 to 26 with the next release. So we don't want to spend the time testing with every AutoCAD Plant 3D version. And then we support 2 languages. So everything would need to be tested twice, and then collaboration and non-collaboration projects. So we can automate that, which, yeah, makes it less time consuming, the testing. We already updated to 2026 and a new Dev Express version, which is completed but not released yet. We are currently testing. In Plant Express tools, we adjust the remaining functions for collaboration projects, the ones you saw in red before. And in Plant Reporter, we add the support of grouping Plant 3D projects to, for example, create an equipment list over multiple Plant 3D projects. That's often used or important for owner-operators who have multiple, or they don't have their whole plant in one project. They typically use multiple projects. Or if you have one big project and you want to split it up for whatever reason, then you can group projects and create reports over multiple Plant 3D projects. Yeah, and PlantSync will get the support for the PlantTools files, because right now PlantSync with the last release supports the whole setup of the project configuration of Plant 3D, but we do not support yet all our PlantTools configuration files. So all the PlantTools which I mentioned before and all the functions, they have their own configuration files. And of course, it makes sense when our own PlantSync is able to synchronize our own configuration files. So this is what's coming in PlantSync. And then from customers, what's coming from customers? So I did not remove that here. I wanted to remove anyway. So the process we have in place for when customers approach us and say, I need this function, or you have this function, but I need it a little bit different, or I need you to extend it a bit. Then we talk to the customer, so we understand the requirement. I write a specification from a user's point of view, so the customer sees, okay, this is how it would be implemented and how the user interface would look like. And if that is okay, we will make a quote. And the quote or the cost for the development is only part of the actual development costs, because when you order the feature, this will become part of one of the 6 plant tools. So this is also how the functionality of our plant tools grows over time. And a lot of features of plant tools were added through customer development. As you saw before with Gia, where we had this renumbering, for example, or the copy and paste function for the properties. And here are some other functions. So BASF, for example, but there are other use cases where if you hide as in P90, if you hide as a valve, the layer of a valve where the valve is on, or you hide the layer where a line segment is on, and you have some crossing, Plant3D leaves gaps, and BASF would like to have a feature to close these gaps so it looks better. Simply. Uniper asks for several other features. One is to allow adding more columns here for the version and revision of drawings. Right now, we only have when a version and revision was created and by whom, and some description, but essentially they need more. And here's just an example. And so the user would be able to create more properties, which then, of course, that is another feature could be used in the revision table. So that is another request to be able to update or create a revision table based on the version revision history. This is, by the way, a feature of Plant Express Tools or of our Plant Project Manager. And the idea is that, yeah, use that information which we already have and create it or use it for the revision table. And also creating a PDF, for example, if you create a new version or a new revision. And Gia would like to get a feature where you can actually lock properties from being modified. For example, let's say you have a tag which should not be changed anymore, or you ordered already, some parts are already ordered, so the data should not be changed anymore of that valve, let's say, or that pump in your P90 or in 3D. So this is purely about locking properties from being manipulated, hard word, anymore. Okay, whoops. And I think that was, yeah, then the last page, I came just back from Amsterdam where the Autodesk DevCon was the last 2 days. And this is, yeah, the development conference of Autodesk, the yearly one, the yearly conference. And they had, it was the biggest one this year. It was 1,000 participants or attendees. And not only developing partners of Autodesk or from Autodesk partners, also end users are there. So what we are looking for is developing tools like our Plant Data Manager or our Plant Reporter, which are now desktop applications, to have them as web applications. So you open your browser, you access your project, and you say, okay, create a list of, like you can do right now with Report Creator or with our Plant Reporter, but be able to create a report, let's say an equipment list, from the data of your collaboration project without requiring to start some tool on your desktop, which is very convenient because then you don't need to install any software on your machine, which of course makes it easier when you get involved with IT or so. You only need some browser, and of course it's also then pretty independent of the browser, but also from the operating system. You can use, actually, Autodesk is mostly using Macintosh or Macs during their presentation. So you can use any browser on any system, essentially. So that's the idea, but this is really a research project. We need to look into it. Plant3D is typically last in any support by Autodesk because, yeah, it's not the biggest market. Of course, the biggest market is always Revit. So this is where they concentrate on, but there are some solutions also for Plant3D we want to look into. But that's the idea of developing web applications. So you are also independent of your installation, essentially, and from the hardware. The browser and the operating system. You can do it then also on a tablet, not just a Mac or Windows. You can do it on a tablet or on your iPhone, for example. Maybe not data editing, but creating a report, for example. Okay, let me go. Oops. Yeah, that was not translated. So questions. I don't see any questions. If you have any questions, get in touch with me or with Auxalia with that email address. Or if you know my email address, of course, you can get in touch with me directly. But then I say thank you for your attention and hope to talk to you soon. Have a nice day.